The history of the Queen City woven into over 200 years of fabric and buttons, corsets and collars.
The idea was that fashion has changed over the last 200 years, and that is a beautiful story all on its own, but more important than the actual dresses are the women that wore them. These women were teachers and philanthropists, they were entrepreneurs, they were homemakers, and they lived these amazing lives right here in Manchester that we still see the reflections of today.
The Manchester Historic Association exhibit, Who Wore It? The Forensics of a Dress, spans decades of fashion history and has unearthed some hidden gems in the association's textile collection that have been stored away for years.
Last fall, we received a donation of the wedding dress of Elizabeth Tuttle, and along with that, the portrait of her husband and the associated shawl and petticoat. And the director of education, Christy, and myself fell in love with it, and we had to figure out what are we going to do with it, because unfortunately, we have a lot of things in storage that never get to see the light of day.
The exhibit not only showcases the dresses, but also digs into what the women who wore them were doing at the time, how the dress may have helped them interact with the world. It also looks at the physical makeup of the dress and where the fabric may have come from.
This dress is kind of a Manchester love story. It belonged to Ruth Cochran, and around World War II, her husband, soon-to-be husband, was stationed at Grenier Field, and the Elliott Silk Mill in Manchester made parachutes for Grenier Field. And we don't know if her husband was able to procure one or if his mother, who was a seamstress, just happened to have surplus fabric, but this is actually made from a World War II silk parachute and worn by a Manchester bride. So it's kind of like a complete love story.
They have lives and they have personalities, and that was part of what we were uncovering. These objects are in some ways just a dress or just a hat, just a pocket, but they're representative of the lives that these women led, and that's really what we wanted to highlight.
The newest dress in the collection is a wedding dress from 1987, and the oldest, a dinner dress from the 1790s.
Looking for something of interest, a notable name, and we happened to stumble across a dress from the Stark family, and specifically worn by Molly Stark, the Revolutionary War heroine. This dress, we believe, belonged to Molly Stark and then was later refashioned for her daughter, Sophia Stark. So the bodice would have been detached and reattached, and so many of these dresses have had multiple lives. Women were frugal and smart, so why reinvent the wheel? If you have a gorgeous dress, pass it down and wear it again.
Highlighting the dresses also pays homage to the rich manufacturing and textile history of the very mills the mannequins stand in.
So we're here at the Mill Yard Museum, which tells a story of the history of the city of Manchester, from the earliest inhabitants, the indigenous peoples who once lived in this area, up to the Industrial Revolution. Our focus for the museum is often on the industrial history, but there's so much more to Manchester than just the industrial history.
Jan Drosiak is another Queen City cheerleader that is honoring the city's rich history with her own line of textiles.
The name is Love Manchester. I am a third-generation City of Manchester resident, and I love the city. I started thinking about how there is no brick-and-mortar store or online store to buy Manchester merchandise consistently branded in a fun, meaningful way. So I thought, why not come up with a fun, creative t-shirt line celebrating Manchester's rich history and some of its icons and oddities. And the idea was born.
Now Jen has dozens of shirts all stamped with a piece of Queen City history.
This is home of Pandora sweaters. Pandora Industries was around for about 50 years, and was a manufacturer of sweaters and sportswear. At one point, they manufactured about 60,000 sweaters per week and employed thousands of people. And many of us are familiar with the iconic Home of Pandora sweaters neon sign that was on top of the mill that is now UNH Manchester. And this was the first shirt to be created out of the series. There were some of these historic icons like Home of Pandora sweaters, the Notre Dame Bridge, the Amoskeag Ledge, things like that, Pine Island Park. But then I wanted to kind of delve a little bit deeper into what I call the icons and oddities, some of these interesting characters or places that may or may not still be here, and celebrate the city's wonderfully weird as well. Commodore George Washington Morrison Nutt was born in Manchester, New Hampshire. He stood 29 inches tall and weighed 24 pounds and was discovered by P.T. Barnum along with Tom Thumb. There's some quirky ones in here: Main Street Mission, Pray for Our World, and Wash Your Hands. The Norge Orb is still here. It's on top of 24 Bridge Street at the corner of Elm. The Old Town Pound is still here. That is in Derryfield Park. The idea is that they spark conversation. They are on an online store through Manchester Inklink. They really helped shuffle this to completion. And the idea is, when you're wearing the shirt, it sparks conversation and we can share the joy and pride in some of these people and places in the city of Manchester.